All right. Next up, we have Lisa Floran. Come on up. There's not, well, I was going to say, just try to catch her.
Back in the early 2000s, I was what you might call a speed queen. I don't know what you're thinking of when you hear that phrase. I'm not talking about uppers, and I did not have a past as a commercial washing machine. No, I'm referring to my completely obsessive, take no prisoners, reign of terror as part of the Valparaiso High School girls cross country team. We won so many titles that the local newspaper called us a dynasty. And at the turn of the century, we were the undisputed rulers of the Midwest running scene. But prior to this, growing up, I never had much of an inclination to run. But one fateful day in 7th grade, our track coach was down a distance runner, and out of desperation, threw me, his 4'6" reserve long jumper, into a half-mile race. Confused about what to do, I sprinted out of the gate, and as he frantically tried to advise me, slow the pace. Well, my Stockholm syndromed mind just heard, keep the pace. And so I tried to keep going fast. And I don't know if it was fear or adrenaline or divine intervention, but I was able to hold on for a second lap, and I ended up winning. Now, the high school coaches for that storied team, they always came to the middle school meets to scope out new recruits, and they swooped in on me immediately. They swooned over what they called my natural talent, and they told me that with just a little bit of training, they saw me becoming a queen on that championship team. Now, I had not enjoyed the experience I had just gone through. I couldn't really breathe. My mouth tasted like blood. But the thrill of victory combined with their vision for me, it was an intoxicating combination. So I decided to become a distance runner. And let me tell you, when I got to high school, I quickly learned that little training they described, they really undersold that. These ladies were not winning titles by inheritance. It was definitely William the Conqueror style blood, sweat, and tears. It was completely unhinged. That's how I'd describe the training regimen that we were put through. We would wake up before the sun every morning, run 4 miles at a sub 6-minute pace. And then after school, we had sprints or tempo runs or, a casual 10 miles down the state highway. We were running every day, often twice a day, and it was all coming out to about 60 to 70 miles a week. I still did not enjoy this. But I was starting to learn that you get out of running what you put into it. And I also really enjoyed being part of the team, and I wanted to be there when they won their next title. So I was all in. And yeah, I was becoming pretty fast because, I was a prepubescent child being trained as a Navy SEAL. And yeah, I was still winning a fair amount, in large part due to holding on to my 7th grade strategy of just taking off like a bat out of hell and holding on for dear life. But freshman year, I won almost every single statewide JV race that I entered. And by sophomore year, JV races. And by sophomore year, I was the 2nd fastest runner on our varsity team, which was at one point ranked 2nd in the entire country. Thank you. My glory days. But really none of that mattered. Because all that mattered was the state meet. That was the one battle that we were aiming for. But sophomore year, going into it, we felt prepared. We were ready. We were favored, as usual, and I was ranked 8th overall individually. So we got to the starting line, we huddled up, we tightened our spikes, we prayed, which was weird because this was a public school. And then the gun went off. Go time. So I did my usual EpiPen out of the gate. I'm striding like a gazelle over the prairie. And then something happened. The baby cyborg short-circuited. My legs went leaden. My breathing labored. And I suddenly lost the lead pack of girls. This had not happened to me before. And I found myself falling further and further back. I was practically crawling by the time I got to the finish line. And I ended up 53rd. Yes, a prime number that haunts me to this day. And I was completely physically spent. I was emotionally spent. And I found myself just in a complete daze. Because in addition to that exhaustion, I had no idea what had gone wrong. I had done all my usual rituals. I had worn my lucky socks. I had listened to a Wham song on repeat for an hour before the race. I had eaten 15 Olive Garden breadsticks the night before, as was also typical. But moreover, I had done exactly the same training as everyone else on my team for the past 5 months. And they had fantastic races. But here was me, in the most important meet of my life, running the worst race of my life. I was devastated. And on top of that, I had kind of solely put our streak of titles in really severe jeopardy. Shockingly, we ended up winning by the smallest margin in state history, mind you. But the mood was jubilant, for everyone except for me. And they handed us our trophy, which was like a wooden thing in the shape of Indiana, the size of a small horse. And we hoisted it overhead. But I really struggled to celebrate. It didn't feel like my championship. I hadn't done anything to help us win it. In fact, I had kind of done a lot to help us lose it. And I was also, I think, a little crushed as a 15-year-old. This was my first kind of face-to-face with the idea that maybe hard work and success aren't always like perfectly married. So that was an existential crisis. But I continued running, and we did win 2 more state titles, but I personally never really reached the potential or delivered on it that they had seen in me in 7th grade. And so by the time senior track season came around, I was done. It'd become really heartbreaking process over and over. So I abdicated my role among the running queens, decided to become a normal teenager, a peasant. I got a job at Cold Stone. My friends and I started partying with a substitute teacher on the weekends. And I vowed to never run again. And for the next 20 years, I largely kept that promise. I ran here and there, but never in a race, never with anybody. It wasn't much. And then something strange happened this past summer while I was watching the Olympics. I was not watching running, I was watching gymnastics. And gymnastics is interesting, the women's competition, because they have 5 women who compete, or who are on the team, but only 3 compete. And so it can kind of shake out that somebody might be on the team, but not do any routines in the final. And that's what happened this year. The youngest member of the team, her name was Hesley Rivera, she's 16. She didn't do any of the events, but she was up there at the end, getting a gold medal alongside her teammates. And I watched her, and I found myself just wanting to tell her, you are every bit a part of this team as everyone else up there. And I found myself wanting to tell her too that, there's so much that goes into an athletic competition. There's luck, there's timing. It's not just what you worked for up to that day. And most of all, I wanted to tell her, I hope that you know to measure your success not just by this one meet that you didn't participate in, but by all the bus rides and the practices and all the little moments that lead up to it. And yeah, obviously then I don't know this girl. She's a stranger. She lives in New Jersey. I was talking to myself, but I was talking to myself so generously in a way that I had never done when I was younger. And I also found myself wondering, man, as I've gotten older, I've become kinder and wiser. And maybe running could be a different experience if I tried it again. Am I brave enough for that? Well, I printed off a Couch to 10K training program, and I signed up for a local race, and that's where I am right now. I'm in the midst of my training. How is it going? Let me say this. Training for this race has shaken me to my core. Did you all know that you don't have to run twice a day when you're training for a race? Did you know that you don't even need to run every day? And did you know that many experts now say you should run slow almost all the time? Yeah, the prevailing wisdom is go as slow as you can and then go slower. I wished I'd known about this back in the day. But training has also really humbled me because I am not a speed queen anymore. No, if anything, I guess I'd call myself a lady in waiting. Because if you're running with me, be patient. You're going to be waiting for me to catch up, waiting for me to finish, and definitely waiting for me to respond if you engage me in any type of conversation. There's no aerobic capacity. But most of all, I think I've just been really shocked by my ability to accept this state of affairs. I was anointed a speed queen at such an impressionable age, and I really took that identity to heart. And I never thought that I would be able to associate running without winning as anything but failure. But here I am. You can see me plodding down 4th Avenue like a tortoise, maybe once a week, or moving like molasses through the U of A campus, also once a week. And I'm enjoying it, which is a new feeling. So in a couple weeks, if you happen to come across the results for the Patagonia Daydreamer 10K, take a look. You might see my name, but just be sure to look really far down because this time, this queen is taking her time. Thanks.